The number one thing you need to do is deploy self-awareness about yourself and how you want to communicate and what you want to communicate. Trying to be successful is super fascinating. Everybody has the ambition or thought process of living a 1% life, but the far majority have no interest in putting in the work ethic of the 1% that is required for that life, and that's fine. You know, another thing that's a complete contradiction is how many people I know that are far happier when their business, the amount of people, I've really looked at a lot of businesses at this point, you know, hundreds of thousands probably over the last 20 years because of my investing career. There's so many people that have a business that makes them $200,000 a year, they want to grow, and then when it goes to $280,000, they went from extremely happy to miserable on that small of a delta. You know, please, in a success world, please understand that success is happiness, not net dollars in. I literally replied to, I have a ridiculously funny post on Instagram right now, right? Like my last post about me garage sailing, and a lot of the comments were like, literally things like, I don't get it. Why is somebody who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars going out there and buying things for $1 and selling it for 15 bucks? And I literally am in there, like on the road here, like replying to some of you when I'm gonna be on stage and replying in Instagram to kids that are asking me that. I'm replying, happiness. I, Gary, as a human, get dramatically happier when I go to a garage sale and buy something worth 20 bucks for $1 and get the high of discovering it and knowing that I'm gonna pay $1 and sell it for 20 than I do when I land a $7 million deal for VaynerMedia. And by the way, there's no comparison. That's just who I am. I hate things like nice guys finish last. Where? It's just not true. Nice guys might be losing at halftime, but they win the game. Nice guys always win. It's just so crazy, all this fodder in the system that isn't true. All the faking it till you make it as a fashion brand that's a leap, or at what every single 23-year-old male in the world is doing, which is fronting on Instagram because boys want girls, you know? And so like, I'm just unbelievably passionate in trying to, what I realized about myself was, oh, the reason I won and I'm good is I've never played in the vortex. I've never played in the actual rules of life. I was an F student when every immigrant was supposed to be an A student because education was the way out. I launched an e-commerce wine business in 1996, right? Like that wasn't what we were, I have a f***ing sneaker. Thanks for wearing them. Like I've always done things that don't make sense. I play outside of the actual game, and that has been where all my happiness has come from. And so many things have become obvious to me by playing outside of the rules. Playing outside of the rules is the best. And that's where I want people to understand we are pandering to so many things that just aren't true.
I do think people are capable of dramatically more than they expect. Yeah. But, you know, there's, you know, listen, I could be a dramatically bigger and better singer than I am right now, which is 0. But there's also a very fine line of extending yourself and then bleeding into delusion. There is no scenario where I'm gonna be Frank Sinatra or Beyonce. Yeah. And so I think one of the things that I worry about, especially in my field of entrepreneurship, do I think that most people can replicate their salary at a job that they hate by starting an online business and over a 7-year period make the same amount of money talking about or producing content or selling things around skiing or jam making or shoes than they did as being a miserable clerk at a retail store? Yes, I do. Yeah. Do I think most people are capable of making $1 million a year running a business? No, I do not. And I think that's in a very, where I think these debates become too black and white, and some people are like, oh, it's just about mindset and positivity and you can do it, and everybody's a hater and a troll. Or the reverse, where people are like, all these people are full of they're selling them in snake oil. The reason that is, and the reason I wrote Crush It, if you ever really, really read it, I believe in passion and optimism and pushing yourself, but I disproportionately believe in practicality, patience, and hard work too.
The number one thing practical that you can get out of this talk go home and start doing is realize that if you're not communicating to the world, then you're in trouble. Because attention is the asset. And whether you're producing content or you're running advertising, if you're not doing one of those two things, you're actually really vulnerable. My biggest concern is there's a lot of people here who are actually having a good year. How many people here are having their best year in their business? Raise your hands. That's phenomenal. Excites the shit out of me. It also scares me to no end, because if you're winning without the stuff that I believe in, it means that you're vulnerable. The reason you're seeing videos of me pop up talking about Toys R Us or Sears or other thing in trouble, and now it makes me look really smart, is because 7 or 8 years ago, they weren't doing the things that I knew they had to do to be successful today. That became their vulnerability. If you're selling a ton of homes, or you're getting more clients than ever, or you're, whatever it is, whatever success you're having, if you're doing that without producing a high volume of content every day on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, or a podcast, you're immediately right this second vulnerable. Because somebody else is going to, and over time they will take your audience. They will. And so I highly recommend that the tangible thing that you do from this talk is that you realize that you have to go home and figure out how you're gonna communicate to the world. Happiness is so important. I'm so obsessed with it right now, and I hate that success and entrepreneurship and all this stuff have been put on a pedestal. Do you understand that most people think they need to make $1 million a year to be like winning? Meanwhile, in America, one of the richest countries in the world, $440,000 is the entry into the 1%. We have success completely misunderstood. We have success completely misunderstood. Let me tell you what success looks like. When you wake up in the morning and you're happy.
I talk about hustle, here's why. If I looked at all of us right now and everybody behind these cameras or reading this article and said, get smarter, more talented. I want you to get more talented. That's very tricky. That's unbelievably ideological advice. If I said, look, 2 extra hours of work actually has an impact on your success if that's what you're trying to achieve, that's practical.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but it's controllable.
Yeah.
Work ethic is controllable. Being born with talent is not. If you can have perspective, proper macro perspective, and you can have micro, practitionership, you will be happy and win.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
Having the humility and the audacity, back to your contradiction.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's how I got to clouds and dirt,
Yeah, which is it.
because I've always been fascinated by that about me, which is the things I'm willing to do right now that are below my paid grade.
Right.
This podcast, this is super scrutinized by the people around me.
Right.
They're like, why are you doing this? We don't have 15 minutes for very important.
Right.
You're letting money, opportunity, VIPs. Why are you doing this? I don't know. Like intuitively when we were talking, I thought it was a good idea, and I think, in my massive perspective, giving back. And look, you're going to leverage me being on this show.
Absolutely, for sure.
And that makes me feel good. That's me giving back.
Right.
This is a bigger thing, giving you these 15 minutes, than me giving you $15,000 for your app.
For sure.
For me,
Yeah.
it's easier to write the check.
For me.
So for me, humility and perspective, I don't know how many very busy people are running around knowing that they need to put change into the bucket of giving back in their time, not their money.
I can give you every single tactic that is underpriced, but if you don't have a foundational understanding of what you like to do and why, it's impossible for you to be successful, because we now live in a world where somebody will outwork you and take your piece. And there's abundance and there's plenty for everybody, but what has become very clear to me is nobody beats the person that loves what they're doing and is good at it, because they're just always doing it. What became obvious to me about entrepreneurship is I always did it even when it wasn't cool or in the air like it is now. What's obvious to me today is there's so many people that want to be entrepreneurs because it is cool today, and it's actually not who they should be. The amount of people in this attendance today who want to be entrepreneurs or start companies who would be far more successful financially and happy being the number 4 in a company run by an actual entrepreneur is staggering. That's not something that anybody in here who's delusional wants to hear, but it is still absolutely the truth, because anytime a pendulum swings, it swings too far the other way. All I'm ever doing is trying to take empathy, gratitude, kindness, positivity, optimism, and create repackaging for it in modern society to help somebody see it, because life is one big game of perspective. And if you've been raised by parents in an environment and have natural DNA that makes you look at something upside down, I've got to flip it. And when I say I have this enormous love and need for admiration that I've come to realize. Admiration will not come in the form of me making the most money. Admiration will not come in any other form than if I give so much more to you than I expect from you in return. I was gifted an ability of the gift to gab. I am creative. I understand attention graphs. I have work ethic. I have aspirations. All of that has created one big game where I feel responsibility to be able to get this message out in a way that won't get to people that can never become monks, or that won't become disproportionately high educated philosophical. I'm in the trenches with my style, but it's the same product. And so 400 trillion to 1 was one way for me to get people to be like, do you understand? There's nothing any of us in this room will accomplish that is even in the galaxy of that we have a chance to do something. I just don't understand. What are you going to complain about today that is even remotely close to never having the ability to have a life? Like what? What are you going to complain about? Like, what's so in your life? Like, you've got the at-bat. Even if you're the worst ranked person, 7.7 billion in the world, you're born to slavery and genocide in a fifth world country where you're raped every day, starved, slaved, lose your parents, no love. The game of life actually still creates the rare potential for you to break out of that and go on to do something and then bring positivity to the world better than not being born at all. And you didn't demonize it, but society is starting to demonize, like, live in the moment, right? There's this photo that went viral as like 4 years ago with the Pope, and everyone's taking a photo, and there's that like 88-year-old lady, and she's just looking at it, and everyone's like trying to make it to be this great thing, and I was like, she didn't have a phone. like, why are we making letters on a, like, if I send you a really nice 3-sentence text tomorrow of like how much I enjoyed today, right? Which now I'm not gonna do because I've said it out loud, but like, why does putting it on a piece of paper and sending as a note, because what? Because it made it seem like I put an extra 2 minutes into it? Like we're starting to do things where I think it's awesome that you chased around the butterfly. I think it's funny. I think it's funny and interesting, and like I don't know, like I don't want to stand there and just take in the butterfly. Like I think it's fun to chase it with the camera. That was just fun from a game standpoint. Butterflies move quick. Like that was hard. Like, you know, so like, I don't know. I again, this goes to like the currents that we live in society where like right now, like everyone's like, just take it in. I don't know. I wish I had photos of me at baseball card shows. Do you know how pissed I am? Let me say this right now. Do you know how sad I am that I don't have photos from 1989 to 1992 at the 87 different baseball card shows that I have, because I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them. So like, cool, I'm glad that everybody's demonizing selfie sticks and all this, but I promise you, in 39 years, while you were making fun of those people, they're gonna be thrilled to look at it, and their kids are gonna be very thrilled to look at it. And I'm super sad, because I don't have jack of my childhood. Like, my Throwback Thursday game is whack as because I got nothing. This is a very important mindset, because what's remarkable about this is what I'm actually saying is everybody in here needs to think more like a publisher and a media company than what they actually do for a living. Are you a lawyer? Cool. I also want you to write content every day. Are you a financial advisor? Awesome. I want you to write content every day. Are you a salesperson? Are you a tech SaaS founder? Are you this, that, the other thing? The gateway to everybody's ambition is content, because communication is the foundational aspect of how everybody makes every decision. The reason there's so much scrutiny on big tech companies all over the world is because our attention is now there, and that is changing our opinions about everything. There's a reason that when there's a coup in a country, they go after the newspaper, radio, and television first. Even before they raid the palace, they go for the media, because the media dictates how you think. A scary amount of every opinion in your head was put there by the content you consumed, by the content that your parents consumed and then put into your head. Your ability to put content into the ecosystem and create the outcome that you aspire to is the fundamental variable.